Project 2025 is a conservative policy blueprint developed by the Heritage Foundation, a prominent think tank with a long history of shaping Republican policies in the United States. The document, which spans over 900 pages, provides a roadmap for a future Republican-led administration, outlining significant shifts in domestic and foreign policy. Among its key proposals are efforts to centralize executive power, reduce the size of the federal government, promote conservative social values, and pursue a more nationalist foreign policy approach. While initially seen as an internal U.S. political framework, its potential impact extends far beyond American borders, particularly in strategically vital regions such as the Horn of Africa. Djibouti and Somaliland, two key players in the Horn of Africa, have been at the center of recent geopolitical maneuvering, and their fates may be influenced by the implementation of policies outlined in Project 2025. Djibouti, a small but strategically located nation at the mouth of the Red Sea, has long been a crucial partner for the United States. It hosts Camp Lemonnier, the only permanent U.S. military base in Africa, which serves as a vital hub for counterterrorism operations and regional security efforts. However, in recent years, Djibouti has deepened its ties with China, allowing Beijing to establish its first overseas military base there, raising concerns about growing Chinese influence in the region. On the other hand, Somaliland, which unilaterally declared independence from Somalia in 1991, has remained largely unrecognized by the international community despite operating as a de facto sovereign state. With a functioning government, relative stability, and a democratic system, Somaliland has long sought official recognition. The United States has maintained a cautious approach, engaging with Somaliland on security and economic matters, but stopping short of formal recognition due to diplomatic concerns, particularly regarding relations with Somalia. However, Project 2025 suggests a possible shift in this approach, with the recognition of Somaliland being considered as a strategic counterbalance to growing Chinese and other foreign influence in Djibouti. One of the major implications of Project 2025 is its emphasis on a more assertive and transactional U.S. foreign policy. The document proposes strengthening U.S. alliances with nations that align with its strategic interests, while reducing engagement with countries that are seen as leaning towards adversaries like China. Djibouti's increasingly close relationship with China, including its acceptance of Chinese military and economic investments, has raised concerns within the conservative foreign policy establishment in Washington. If a new Republican administration, guided by Project 2025 policies, were to view Djibouti as unreliable or compromised, there could be a reassessment of U.S. strategic priorities in the region. This is where Somaliland enters the equation. Given its long-standing aspirations for recognition and its willingness to cooperate with Western nations, Somaliland presents an alternative option for the United States to establish a stronger presence in the Horn of Africa. Recognizing Somaliland could provide Washington with another foothold in the region, reducing its reliance on Djibouti and countering Chinese influence. In this context, Project 2025 lays the groundwork for a possible shift in U.S. policy towards Somaliland, which could significantly alter the geopolitical balance in the Horn of Africa. Complicating matters further is the evolving regional situation, particularly Ethiopia's recent agreement with Somaliland. In a controversial move, Ethiopia has signed a deal with Somaliland granting it access to the port of Berbera on the Red Sea. In exchange, Ethiopia has pledged to recognize Somaliland's independence. This agreement has sparked strong opposition from Somalia, which considers Somaliland part of its territory. The situation has further escalated, with Egypt stepping in to support Somalia, strengthening its military and political ties with Mogadishu as part of its broader strategy to counter Ethiopia's regional influence. Egypt's growing involvement in the Horn of Africa is another critical factor to consider. Cairo has historically opposed Ethiopia's construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, fearing it will reduce Egypt's share of the Nile River's waters. The U.S. position on GERD has fluctuated over different administrations, with Trump previously siding with Egypt against Ethiopia. With Trump now back in the White House, and advancing his controversial Gaza plan, which involves relocating Palestinians to parts of Egypt and Jordan. Securing Egyptian support has become a priority for his administration. Recent reports suggest that American officials have indicated their willingness to pressure Ethiopia on the GERD issue in exchange for Egypt's backing of the U.S. Middle East strategy. This move would significantly benefit Cairo, while placing additional diplomatic and economic pressure on Addis Ababa. For Somaliland, this complex web of alliances and rivalries presents both risks and opportunities. If the U.S. recognizes Somaliland, it would mark a historic victory for the self-declared republic, granting it international legitimacy and opening the door for increased economic and security cooperation. However, such a move would also escalate tensions in the region, potentially provoking a strong response from Somalia and its allies, including Egypt. Furthermore, Djibouti could see this shift as a direct challenge to its status as the primary U.S. strategic partner in the Horn of Africa. For Djibouti, the implications of Project 2025 are equally significant. If the U.S. were to scale back its engagement with Djibouti due to concerns about Chinese influence, the country could face economic and security challenges. Djibouti's economy relies heavily on its role as a logistics and military hub, and any reduction in U.S. involvement could weaken its strategic position. At the same time, Djibouti's leadership may attempt to balance relations with both China and the U.S., leveraging its geographic importance to maintain its relevance in global geopolitics. Ultimately, the policies outlined in Project 2025 signal a potential realignment of U.S. engagement in the Horn of Africa, with Somaliland emerging as a possible beneficiary and Djibouti facing new uncertainties. While nothing is set in stone, the evolving dynamics in the region suggest that significant shifts may be on the horizon. The outcome will depend on how key players, Djibouti, Somaliland, Ethiopia, Egypt, and the United States, navigate this complex geopolitical landscape in the coming years.